I've spent more time frustrated with AI than actually getting value from it. Over 3 years, I have realized most of that wasted effort came from just three mistakes: unclear outputs because of unfocused inputs, shallow results because of disconnected thinking, and paralyzed because of information overload. Chances are you've made at least one of them too. Solve these three things, and the result you get from AI will double, with way less headache. Best part, they're not hard to fix. So let me break them down, show you the solutions, and share some real examples along the way. Let me start with the first mistake: dumping details without setting direction. When I first learned prompting engineering, I thought the more details I add, the better the answer will be. So I dumped everything: background information, preferences, and the whole scenario into one giant prompt. Here's what I missed. The problem isn't having context. Context is useful. The problem is unfocused context without priorities. When you pile on details without directions, AI treats everything as equally important. It tries to satisfy every requirement at once. It's like eating popcorn. It looks big, but it's mostly air. And especially with creative, open-ended work, where there are so many possibilities, so many directions, this kind of context overload only makes things worse. I realized something. AI can make anything sound logical. It stitches pieces together to fit you, but often it's just a logical nonsense. The more I fed in, the more diluted the answer got, and the more time I wasted reviewing it. What actually I wanted wasn't more context, but clear direction. I wanted AI to pull from its massive library based on clear boundaries, not cast a giant net and see what comes back. That's when I learned: don't start with context, start with frames. Think of frames as your thinking filter, the lens you set before your prompt. You can jot them down or just hold them in mind. The point is to decide what matters the most and what doesn't, so the context you include actually has focus. Let me show you how this works. Say you are planning a trip to London, and then you've never been there before. You're not sure what to do, so you turn to ChatGPT to explore some ideas. We've got two different travelers here: a university student and a parent traveling with kids. Both of them want roughly the same thing: see the big landmarks, visit a few museums, try some traditional British food, see some local culture, maybe even catch a West End show. That's the context. It's solid but unfocused. Now here's the key. If they start with a frame, not just context, it becomes much easier to organize their thoughts and to tell ChatGPT what actually matters most. Take the university student. Her frame might be: I've got 5 days, a budget of £800, and I want authentic local experiences, not just crowded tourist spots. For the parent traveling with kids, the frame is different. The trip has to be efficient, family-friendly, and easy to manage. See how that changes the prompt. For the university student, the prompt could be: help me plan a 5-day London trip focused on authentic local experience, away from tourist crowds, while staying within an £800 budget. Show me budget-friendly, authentic options, not expensive tourist traps. I still want to see major landmarks, museums, try British food, experience the culture, and maybe catch a West End show. And now look at what happens. ChatGPT's answers naturally clustered around those keywords: low budget, authentic, low crowd. It gives a breakdown of ticket costs, points you toward less crowded but high-value spots, even suggests affordable places to try classic British food. Because the frame is clear, the response feels tailored. And sure, it might take a little longer for ChatGPT to generate, since it's pulling in details and resources, but the quality of the answers goes way up. It ends up being a very detailed and useful answer. If you're finding this useful, go ahead and subscribe, because I make videos that cut through the usual AI frustration and show you how to actually get results. Now let's look at the other traveler. The business traveler with family is planning a shorter trip with kids. Again, we take the frame we set up and put it into the prompt with relevant details. Help me plan an efficient 3-day London family trip in Zoom 1, with educational experience for kids and no early morning activities. Everything should be convenient and suitable for children. I still want to see major landmarks, museums, try British food, experience some culture, and maybe catch a West End show. Notice what happens. The answer is shorter this time because the frame narrowed the scope. Zoom 1 only, kid-focused, educational, The suggestion lines up perfectly. Museums dominate the plan. The food options are chosen near those museums, and every activity is designed with children in mind. See the difference? Same starting interests, same broad context. Landmarks, museums, food, culture. But each person frame changes how ChatGPT organizes priorities and delivers the plan. With frames, I finally had clarity. I wasn't just dumping context anymore. I was steering it. The answers felt more on point, more usable, but the moment I leaned on AI for complex work-related tasks, that's when I discovered the second challenge. Mistake 2, writing isolated prompts instead of building workflows. I used to think the skill was all about writing the perfect prompt, like there was some magic combinations of words that would unlock amazing results. I kept asking myself, what's the perfect way to phrase this? And for simple tasks, summarizing an article, pulling out key facts, that mindset works fine. You set your frame, write one good prompt, and you're done. But as soon as the problem got more complex, that approach completely fell apart. Here's what I missed. You are not just asking for information anymore. You're trying to solve a problem step by step. When you treat prompts as one of commands, you think the challenge is wording. But the real challenge isn't crafting a clever sentence. It's building a workflow that actually solves the problem. Prompts are just the tools inside that workflow. And here's the danger. If you focus only on the prompt, AI will still give you something polished because it can make sense of anything. So you think you're doing well, but the results feel shallow. That's why so many people either settle for weak answers or give up out of frustration. The turning point for me was realizing I needed to focus on my process of problem solving. Prompts live inside that process. They borrow its clarity. Better thinking leads to better prompts, leads to better outcomes. So the right approach isn't isolated prompts, it's connected workflows. A workflow where each step builds on the last. When I get this right, I can feel four things happening. First, continuity. Each step builds on the last. I'm not starting over. I'm making progress. Second, perspective shift. Different stage push me to look from new angles, not just repeat the same viewpoint. Third, compound depth. Each round sharpens the thinking instead of recycling surface level answers. And fourth, a sense of momentum. The problem starts to entangle and the final solution feels earned, not random. When those four things click, I know the workflow is doing its job. Let me show you what I mean. In a previous video, I showed this by creating slides with AI. Same task, same three stages, but I compared two very different approaches. In the first approach, I used isolated prompts. Stage 1, research AI project management tools. Stage 2, turn this into slides. Stage 3, add some visuals. Each stage started fresh with no connection to the one before it. In the second approach, I used what I called 3+1 framework. I added one crucial step, purpose setting, which is very similar to framing. I asked what will actually convince stakeholders to say yes, and that purpose guided every stage. Stage 1, gathered persuasive evidence, not just raw information. Stage 2, built psychology momentum toward yes, not just logical slides. Stage 3, added visuals that reinforced the argument, not just decorated the data. The result, the second version was dramatically more persuasive. If you're interested in seeing the whole workflow and the result comparison from this creating slides video, you can find the link in the description. And here's the key. It wasn't because the individual prompts were better written. It was because each stage built on the strategy from the previous one. Every prompt built on the persuasive purpose. I shifted from evidence to argument to visuals. Each stage sharpened the case rather than repeated it. And the final deck actually drove decisions instead of just informing people. Mistake 3, getting stuck in endless research loops. As I got better at prompting, thinking clearly about frames, building connected workflows, another problem surfaced. When I started using AI for research and brainstorming, I would dive in and forget about time. More sources, more angles, more content, like I was being thorough and productive. But here's the danger. AI makes it too easy to keep going. With a few words, you can summon endless information. And because it all sounds polished, it feels like progress. The more you generate, the harder it becomes to check, compare, and decide what actually matters. It's not a low quality noise, it's too much high quality information. which is just as dangerous. You lose the sense of enough. Instead of moving forward, you get stuck in an infinite loop of gathering. Asking for more is easy, deciding to stop is hard. What changed for me was realizing I don't need more, I need enough. And then I need to turn that into action. So I set a few simple rules to remind me when it's time to stop researching and move on. First, clarity. Is the output sharp and compact enough that I can understand it at a glance? If yes, there's no point adding more. Second, momentum. Am I still building speed or am I slowing down by piling on extras? If it's slowing me, it's time to stop. Third, relevance. Does what I have connected directly to my goal? If yes, then more material won't make it stronger. It'll just blur the focus. Fourth, actionability. Can I already use what I've gathered? If I can, that's the signal to stop and act. When those four signals show up, it tells me it's enough. It's time to move forward. Let me show you how this plays out. Say I'm working on a dating app and need brainstorming new functionality. Here's what I used to do. Go all in on research and keep asking for more. I'd start with give me 20 innovative features for a dating app. Great. Then curiosity kicks in. What about retention features? What about monetization? What about accessibility? Before I knew it, I had 50 ideas scattered everywhere. Sure, I could try to categorize them or run different comparison methods. I've done that, but without boundaries, it turns into overload. I'd lose track of where I was, what I was focusing on, and after a few rounds, I'd feel completely paralyzed. Here's what I do now. I only care about the most important things. I'm not chasing more, I'm looking for enough. So now I will ask, give me the top 3 feature categories that would most improve retention for dating app, plus one unexpected category competitors aren't focusing on. For each category, suggest 3 to 5 specific features. Now I get 4 focused categories, roughly 16 concrete ideas, all tied to retention. That's a manageable set. I've set a boundary and I can say, this is enough. I can work these ideas in a controlled, focused environment. And together, they turn infinite possibilities into actionable choices. So there you have it, the 3 costly mistakes that causes too much frustration and wastes so much time. Once I fix them, using frames before context, building connected workflows, and knowing when enough is enough, my experience with AI more than doubled in value, with far fewer headaches. And the best part, these aren't complicated fixes. You can start applying them today.